Hello? Hello everyone and welcome back to 00122 Motori. Today on the channel we are going to talk about her again, the Aprilia RS 125. So if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to 00122 Motori, leave a like, and we'll see you soon. And here we are, friends, with her, the RS 125, a bike that many of you might already be familiar with. For those who haven't yet, you can scroll through an entire playlist of all the work done on this vehicle, from the purchase to getting it on the road. We later decided to pass it on to a new owner to recoup the restoration and purchase costs and focus on another project. In the end, none of this happened because the offers that came in were well below the amount needed to cover the expenses. The bike was put up for sale at around 4,500 euros, roughly 4,400 if I remember correctly. Clearly there was room for negotiation, but my idea was not to go below 4,200 euros, which was exactly the purchase value, plus what was spent on the engine. Fairing, restoration, tires, and all the work done, no offers of interest came in that went in this direction, so I decided to keep it, both to enjoy it a bit, because actually, since last year when we finished this project until today, I've ridden this bike 4-5 times. It doesn't even have 200 kilometers, and now that it's starting to break in a bit, as we are moving forward with the break-in period, I can say that the choice to purchase this vehicle makes sense. That said, I decided to keep it and start bringing new content to the channel, because although we have been restoring this bike up until now, we have always tried to restore it with the aim of preserving its originality. It is a vehicle that was already at full power, so it had been modified by installing the rave valve in and using the ECU, changing the exhaust, etc. However, we didn't use it much. Let me be clear, we mainly focused on the aesthetic aspect rather than boosting the engine. Also, considering selling it, if the selling price was already prohibitive for a vehicle of this type, spending more money would have been even more complicated. So, after the necessary introduction on why we are here today to discuss this motorcycle again, let's get to the heart of today's discussion, which, by the way, is a hot summer, all day. I can say that I really appreciate you all, because I even forgot my glasses today, and even though it's 7:30, it's still very hot. So why are we here today? Because I wanted to ask you, and I ask you to leave it in the comments for some guidance on what type of modification kit to apply for engines of this type. As for the engine of the Aprilia RS 125, we've talked about it many times now. I have an idea also from looking online, and I will probably consult with Mario Alno, who has been involved to some extent in the restoration of the engine and has experience in the racing world with the RS. He could provide us with more than adequate advice, but I wanted to get a suggestion from you as well. I have currently found a kit from Modesty Racing that includes several steps to easily bring the horsepower of this RS to around 30 horsepower. Specifically, the kit in question has several steps. The first step is clearly the exhaust, which in this case is custom made. It was machined from solid material. And with this first modification step, they claim to reach around K7, 27 to 28 GP, an estimated cost of around 700 euro plus, of course, the mechanic's labor for the installation. And to this, they then add other steps, which is something that might interest me, because you can also decide to make evolutions to the vehicle over time. At that step, it also includes modifying the entire cylinder and piston by sending them the cylinder that needs to be removed from the current engine. They, if I understood correctly, are responsible for completely replacing the piston. I'm not sure if in that case it involves a single ring piston and redoing the fit with the cylinder, which will then, I imagine, be honed, reworked, etc. with the ports and everything. This is the second step. And to the first step, you need to add another 400 euros to then reach the third step, which, in addition to what has been done so far, also includes, if I remember correctly, the replacement of the rave valve control unit. It seems to enter a slightly lower range, if I understood correctly. Anyway, the last step brings the vehicle to around 34, 35 HP, which is a lot for a 125, guys. As of now, as I mentioned before, having mainly focused on its aesthetic aspect and being a bit clumsy because Mario Alno and I decided to keep it rich, especially for the break-in period. And I tell you, in my opinion, it becomes really fun, even more so. Now, I think this one has around 20 horsepower, no more. Based on how it's tuned in terms of carburation, once the break-in period is over, I think revisiting the carburation will definitely bring out something better. Even as it is, and let's remember, apart from the piston and exhaust tip replacement, which had already been done by the previous owner, we changed the silencer because it was really ugly, guys. It has nothing else. The gearing has been slightly shortened, but apart from these small interventions, the final sprocket was replaced by the chain. No engine upgrades have been done at all, not even the transfers. Mario Alno told me that if it goes up for sale, it seemed more correct not to make such interventions. What do you think? Many also talk about replacing the carburetor, while others say it's not worth it, and even compromises a bit. If I understood correctly, the carburation so becomes more complicated, the engine runs poorly. Let me know your experiences, and then I'll ask you one last thing. In the motorcycle, the starter motor and the battery were also replaced, but as I mentioned, the lack of use of this vehicle, which I used only 5 times over the course of a year, clearly led the battery to... Dear friend, I haven't had the chance to recharge it. I think I'll do it in the next few days. Today I started it by pushing, the 325, just a little push. What I wanted to say is that even now that I've ridden a bit, 5, 6 km, I tried to start it again with the start, let's say from the start. The start, but the motorcycle still makes a strange noise like tick, 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 but it doesn't start. I think it is also related to the low battery charge, and also because, I repeat, the model in question is obviously new. It's not even a year old and has 200 kilometers. But if it has happened to you too, let me know if it's enough to put it back under load or if something else needs to be modified or reviewed. Other than that, I expect some comments from you guys. Let me know what you think of this new content on the Aprilia RS 125. I'm expecting a flood of comments, especially because in the past, I noticed there were several modification kits for this engine, but lately I've been seeing fewer and fewer. So I expect contributions from you. And then we will make a decision together, just like we made this new video together today. I wish you a good day and see you next time. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because as you can see, there are a lot of contents and more will keep coming. So see you next time, guys. Bye, everyone.